Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Right? I did it. I was letting myself off the hook. And I was going to say, oh, I'll do my live when I get home for work tonight. And I was just procrastinating. And then it's the cup of coffee and cleaning the desk and looking at the clock and saying, oh, I don't have time to do my live. Cindy, don't worry about it. You could spend some time and relax when you get home from work and do an amazing live. And I'm going, no, that's just the pushback, right? And meanwhile, in this negotiation, because that's what it felt like, was a negotiation with myself, I just said, fine, right? Let's hit that live button. If we've got 10 minutes, if we've got 15 minutes, maybe there's a lesson in that. Maybe the lesson is just me pushing back against that push that's just giving me permission to just, right, let myself off the hook. And the letting myself off the hook is last night when I ended my live. I says, oh, we'll do our live in the afternoon before I go to work. Well, I have to leave for work in 15 minutes, but that is more than enough time. And yet I made it such a, I don't know, I made it a little fiasco. And, it also, at the same time, it doesn't put that pressure on me, because while I'm at work, I love to ground in my job, right? What I do here online, that work that I do on myself, that's it's not put off to the side, but it's not my priority. My priority is that give back and the appreciation that somebody decide to help me along in a moment when I was at my lowest. And it's totally 100% out of gratitude. I would love to be sitting here yapping all day. I would be love to be sitting here and taking in the lessons, or getting outside and enjoying the fresh air and the sun. But in a real world, in creating the best human being I possibly can, I play that game until that opportunity, that moment of choice that comes across our path to take a chance, right? Because what we're doing is we're trying to, oh, like what I was just doing, getting all the evidence to say, oh, don't worry about it. You don't have to go live. But also at the same time, we're often looking for the evidence to say, yes, you can do it, right? Sometimes it's having that best friend. Maybe it's that parent that you can just talk to about anything. Maybe it's talking to yourself, right? Being your best cheerleader, your own best friend. But because, right, for like lots of us, me included, I had to be that person for myself. I had to, right? It just seemed every corner I took, right? Every step I made, right? And I could do the best that I could, but disaster would find me. And sometimes that's just in the energy that we have grown and well, not necessarily aspired to be, but it's how we've been growing. It's how we've been watered. It's how we've been, right, exposed to the sunlight, to our environment. Okay, you guys, Friday, it's our last day, and here I am running to catch a bus to take to that job that's going to help me ground in being a human, in being able to have conversations, and maybe, right, I just don't sit here and take in the lessons and hold them for myself. I don't, and you guys know that, because I do show up here fresh like a loaf of bread, that I share that. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Kathy, dear. Thank you for popping in today. We are on a run, but we're ending or trying like I was last night. It's that pushback, right? Oh, don't worry about it. Take the comfy, grab the remote control, go lay on the couch. And that opportunity to have a conversation, experience, or learn something that will help us to move forward. And, I feel a lot of it is directed, it's too in your face not to notice that we're all being transformed in this digital age, right? But I've been kind of allowing myself to be drawn into that. And I think it is in that trust, in that relationship. We choose our poisons, but we choose our surroundings, we choose our influences, and we choose, right, how we would like to move. And we look at those tools in the world that are offering to help us move. And that digital age for me has been that tool. And out of gratefulness, like I have for this job, right, to say thank you so much. I'm going to give you the very best of me for the next few days until it's my day off and I need to crash before I can start doing for myself again, right? I want to do that for these platforms that have helped me, well, to discover a lot of things, a lot of things that I had never even considered in my movement, things that would never have come across my path. And even though I don't grasp it all, right, I grasp at, right, what I have grasped onto has, has magnitude, this adventure that I'm on. And I am on an adventure. Okay, you guys, tie it up. That willingness to be on the adventure. I think that's all it takes, right? In this digital age, we see we're getting pulled into video games and certain types of content, and we're being pulled to adventures that we would love to be doing ourselves, but instead we're living vicariously through somebody else's experience. But other people are out there on these platforms and they're learning. And whether you have an analytical mind or a layman's kind of way of moving, which I feel I have a very layman's way of moving, but I also know epigenetically, right? Grateful. I have no idea, but I am grateful that in that cheerleading and then that being my own best friend, right? There weren't many options for me. And so I'm grateful that I nurtured that relationship to an extent that somehow, some way, right? We've kind of learned to discover, right? Discover a little bit. I don't know. Topics that I dance around. We were talking about that yesterday, but that's my willingness to try and take on some of these topics that I know for myself are truths, but then I look out the world and say, well, who else is talking about this? And and so I find myself on my own. And sometimes, right, somebody has to take the first step. And I think I've been invited to that party in order to possibly be one of those people that take the first step. And that's an honor, and it's a scary endeavor, especially when you don't know where the destination, where you're going to land. But I think, right, in the way things that are moving, and the way I came into my brand, and the way that I got my lessons, and the way things seep into me, and the way that I present, and some of those people that I do admire that have those analytical minds, or those mystic minds, or those spiritual minds, or even the religious minds, like, I take lessons from a rabbi. Right? And it makes sense epigenetically because my grandfather had some Jewish ancestry in me, or in him, which may be and probably is in me. But the way it surfaces, sometimes just in those little slip ups in our conversations. And then if you happen to be there in that moment, if I happen to come back into my live and watch it again and, right, find that again, ooh, right? Maybe that's something. Maybe that's a lesson that nobody stumbled onto before because they didn't look at it from my perspective. They were looking at it from their perspective. And I think there are a lot of different perspectives that make up the true perspectives. And I think that's the truth. I think it's part of my mission statement of one of my mission statements, right? I'm a multitasker in what I do, right? Mother Nature, working with those emotions, right? History. And yeah, I can't be missing a bus. So that's gotta be the lesson, is just to be willing to move, even though you don't see that destination, but you feel that pull, right? And you're following those things that get you curious, and you understand that there's a little bit more. So you're not only just waiting for things, or you're just not catching things once in a while as it comes across your path. You actually practice the craft of catching things a little bit better, right? But it's that willingness to go for the ride, that willingness to go for the ride. And I do like a good adventure, but the adventure ends for this moment. When I come in, I might take a few lessons. Who knows, right? Never know. I'm staying right here and for this moment, for the next few days, right? That grounding in that job that puts my roof over our head, that shows my appreciation for that job that puts roof over my head, is my priority. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for popping in. That was so nice of you. I've got to run off. I got a bus to catch, and I got the lesson in, and I pushed myself when I was giving myself permission to slack. Hmm. Okay, something to contemplate in that. Have a great day. Bye bye.